Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on a humble bundle Striking Soulslikes bundle of April 2023. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? If you're serious about getting the inside scoop on game bundles, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Your support means everything. Anyway, let's get into this. And number 1 we have Sands of Aura, an action-packed early access RPG game that aims to deliver challenging and satisfying combat to its players. Its gameplay mechanics and system draw inspiration from the well-known Soulsborne series, requiring players to exhibit precision, timing, and coordination to overcome their enemies. The game's combat mechanics are complex and intense, especially when fighting against its array of bosses. The bosses come with various mechanics that players have to analyze and figure out to defeat them, providing a satisfying sense of achievement after murdering them. Additionally, Sands of Aura's gearing system is relatively uncomplicated, allowing players to experiment and craft their builds with ease. The system also allows players to imbue their weapons with elemental properties and status effects through spell-based runes, providing a more customized and personalized combat experience. However, Sands of Aura's atmosphere and tone appear confused, struggling to find its own unique identity, particularly in its plot and atmosphere. While humor in serious games can work, it can be challenging to get right. The game's combat mechanics are solid, but it's clear that it's influenced by the Soulsborne games, leaving the game feeling like a collection of other ideas rolled into one. In conclusion, Sands of Aura has the potential to be a standout action RPG, with its challenging combat mechanics and rewarding gearing system. While it may draw influence from other games, it provides its unique take on the genre, and its future release will hopefully deliver a more consistent tone and atmosphere to provide players with a more cohesive experience. And number 2 we have Loot River, a top-down roguelike game that takes you on a thrilling adventure through a dungeon made up of floating tiles. As you navigate through the dungeon, you must use your skills to hack and slash your way through enemies, collect treasure, and gain new abilities. The game's unique design encourages hypervigilance as you pay close attention to your surroundings and decide when to engage in combat. One of the standout features of Loot River is its unique movement mechanic. You can move the tile you're standing on, leading to many neat movement puzzles. This adds an extra layer of strategy to the game, as you must carefully consider your movements to avoid danger and reach your goals. The game's enemies are rendered with gritty, sherbety pixel art, and range from runners and eaters to sword people of all kinds. As you progress through the game, you can earn knowledge, which can be used to unlock weapons and spells that the game will then scramble and place in your hands at the start of each new run. This adds an element of unpredictability to each new playthrough, as you never know which weapons and spells you'll have access to. Despite its challenging gameplay, Loot River's progression system is a light touch. The focus is on leveling up, collecting cash, attribute boosting loot, and killer specials, such as a feather that allows you to appear on the other side of your foe after you've landed the first strike. Overall, Loot River is an inventive and deeply satisfying roguelike that combines elements of Tetris and Souls-like gameplay into something fresh and exciting. Its unique movement mechanics and gritty pixel art design make for a memorable and fun gaming experience. Whether you're a fan of roguelike games or just looking for something new and exciting to play, Loot River is definitely worth having a look into. And number 3 we have Aeterna Noctis, a Metroidvania-style platformer with a sprawling and varied world, challenging platforming challenges, and beautiful art direction. In Aeterna Noctis, you play as the King of Darkness, who has lost most of his power and memories after his defeat to the Queen of Light. Your objective is to recover the 7 fragments of the Shrine of the Kings to help the king regain his abilities and ascend to the heavens once again. While the game does not focus on the plot, the various side quests that you undertake have separate plot threads attached to them. The game is challenging, and it throws tricky pixel-perfect platforming challenges with few checkpoints early on, which increases in complexity as you unlock new abilities. The boss fights are also tough, and they tend to have the Dark Souls quality of feeling insurmountable until you learn their attack patterns. The experience system is not very user-friendly, as you don't keep any experience you lose while in a Souls-like state. However, the game provides multiple options to improve your chances in combat, including upgradable perks, equipable gems, and new abilities that you unlock throughout the game. The game takes steps to provide a sense of guidance to the player, without compromising the thrill of exploration. While side quest locations don't show up on your map, the general location of the next shrine fragment does. However, the game is less accommodating about making it clear if you have the right ability to proceed and whether you have missed something important. Overall, Aeterna Noctis is a beautiful and challenging game that is perfect for fans of games like Hollow Knight and the 2D Castlevania entries. And number 4 we have Blade of Darkness, a 2001 medieval fantasy action-adventure game that was re-released in 2021 for PC. The game has a lackluster plot, and there is very little information given to you about the story. You get a brief introduction to each area you visit, and that's all. All you know is that you need to vanquish a dark force, and that's it. The game deserves a rich fantasy storyline of good triumphing over evil, with some stake raising and tragedy along the way. The world itself is overrun with villainy, but you never really learn about it. However, the game is worth playing because of its gruesome and gory combat. You can hack off limbs from your foes, and pick up a limb and use it to beat their orc friend to death. There's a rhythm to combat, you must learn to block and dodge at the right moment if you want to murder your enemies. The game will take you all over the fictional world, which is nicely diverse. Each of the 4 characters you can play as has a different starting point, along with different strengths and weaknesses. This rich diversity is also seen in the monsters and beings you come across. In terms of progression, there isn't a lot of NPC dialogue in the game, and there are no real side quests to speak of. However, this is not a linear adventure. In between each level you'll get a small narration, and then you must pick where you want to go next. The controls for the game are basic, but clever at times. The game has full controller support, and once you get used to the control layout, it is easy to master. Although occasionally lining up perfectly with an item to pick it up can take far more time than should be necessary. While graphically the game would not be considered dated, it has a nostalgia about it. The level of detail, especially in the physics of limbs that you have hacked off, is impressive, and it makes for an immersive and gory experience. Environments are well rendered and a joy to explore. Sometimes you just yearn for the old school experience, and Blade of Darkness is there to deliver. And number 5 we have Mortal Shell, a dark and atmospheric action RPG that takes inspiration from the notoriously difficult Dark Souls series. While the game has similarities to its inspiration, it also offers some unique features that set it apart from the popular franchise. You take on the role of a nameless character, navigating a bleak and foreboding fantasy world. Of course, it's a Souls-like game. Combat is challenging, with enemies that can deal significant damage to your health and stamina bars. With few checkpoints, the game can be anxiety-inducing, but discovering one is incredibly satisfying. One of the standout features of Mortal Shell is its shell upgrade system. You can inhabit 4 different shells of armor, each with their unique traits. The upgrade system allows you to unlock a shell's full potential by discovering more about its original owner. However, each shell is suited to a certain playstyle, which can limit your ability to adopt different fighting styles. The combat system in Mortal Shell has a satisfying heft to it, and you can use a useful hardening ability to make yourself briefly invincible. The hardening ability can be used during any swing, and can help you overcome tough enemies. However, the dodging system can feel slow and challenging to use effectively, which can be frustrating for some players. While Mortal Shell has its unique features, it also has some flaws. The game's limited checkpoint system and challenging combat may not be suitable for all players. Additionally, the shell upgrade system can limit your freedom in adopting different playstyles. Despite these flaws, Mortal Shell is a worthwhile experience for fans of the Dark Souls series, or players looking for a challenging and atmospheric action RPG. And number 6 we have Salt and Sanctuary, a 2D action RPG that draws heavily on the mechanics and style of the Dark Souls franchise. The game's ambiguous story is not as strong as other games like Blasphemous, but it's not really required to enjoy the game. When you first start the game, you'll pick a character, adjust the appearance, creed, and an item or idol to start carrying. The first hour or so will be spent exploring and getting accustomed to the movement style of the game. Enemies attack with ferocity, so it's easy to get murdered even if you're leveled up and well equipped. The game features a skill tree that allows for custom builds and unlocks new weapons, armor, and upgrades. You can also pledge allegiance to different creeds, each with its own benefits, and customize sanctuaries with NPCs and upgrades. However, be warned that you can only pledge allegiance to one creed at a time. The game's dodge mechanic works really well, and shields are effective too. Rolling and jumping to safety is a lifesaver, but temporary buffs can also be added for a little extra edge. Boss souls can be transmuted to unlock new abilities and weapons, allowing for a lot of experimentation. The bosses in this game are challenging, but not impossible to beat. The first boss, the Sordid Knight, may be the most difficult encounter in the game. Knockbacks in the game can be frustrating, and the game's squandering of stats and transmuting weapons with boss souls are downsides. Despite its flaws, Salt and Sanctuary is an excellent game with responsive controls, great visuals, and multiple build options. So if you're a fan of Souls-like genre, Salt and Sanctuary is a game you should definitely consider playing. While it may not reinvent the wheel, it offers a unique 2D presentation and bosses that are incredibly challenging. And number 7 we have Dread Delusion, an RPG adventure game that is akin to Morrowind. The game is set in a weird world where you explore a civilization clinging to the asteroids around a Neuron star. There are wizards sailing in between islands on magically sealed airships, an atheistic inquisition hunting for the last gods, and a community of flesh-eating zombies that has gone vegetarian thanks to the invention of artificial human meat. Dread Delusion's latest update includes new quests, characters, locations, and combat tweaks. and the developers have built out its main quest with a distinctly Millennia-esque Valkyrie to find in the world, as well as a ruined town taken over by bandits. They've also improved the game's combat and made the fatigue system more generous, addressing some of the complaints players had when the game was first released. In addition to the main quest, Dread Delusion also has a faction reputation system similar to Fallout New Vegas, which allows you to pick your friends among Dread Delusion's assortment of scholars, inquisitors, atheists, and pagans. The game also has a player home on its own floating island, which you can build out and refurbish, and there seem to be secrets and history to uncover there. If you enjoy games like Morrowind or The Witcher, you'll likely enjoy the short sci-fi stories in Dread Delusion's quests, which excel at feeling like self-contained stories with twists. There's little fetching or grinding, so you can enjoy exploring the game's weird world without getting bogged down. Overall, Dread Delusion is a game worth trying out if you're a fan of exploration-forward RPGs with great storytelling and a unique world. With each update, the game keeps getting better, and it's a challenge to resist the urge to jump back in and play more. If you want a more complete experience, you can purchase the bundle and wait for the 1.0 release, so you can experience the game fresh from the beginning. So if you're a fan of exploration-forward RPGs, you might want to check out Dread Delusion. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is okay. I've been wanting a Souls-like bundle for a while now, but this wasn't what I imagined it to be. However, if you want to get a taste of it for cheap, this bundle is great. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.